Welcome back to the HGC ANZ Premier League, night 2 of opening week. We just had an amazing series against Rich Gang versus Downfall, and a GL. It was just phenomenal. I was not expecting a 2-1 like that.
Yeah, we went into it kind of expecting a 2-1, but the way it happened really took us by surprise. We saw Rich Gang kind of struggle at the very start, but really picked up as the series went on and really took a Downfall who was looking very strong over the course of it.
Yeah, the Downfall looked like they've just improved so much in between preseason and now. But next game up, guys, it is Nekomimi versus Quick Match Warriors. Both teams will be making their, let's call it debut game.
Their stream debut.
Yeah.
We'll say that much.
So last time these guys met up, it was Nekomimi that did take the victory, beating Quick Match Warriors in the preseason. But let's see if they can actually change that story today. Quick Match Warriors are looking to put a win on the scoreboard. It's two very well even teamed. I have to say behind this, I can't pick who I'd like either one to win. I will say, have you seen the Nekomimi's logo as a team?
Yeah, I was looking at it earlier, and some of these logos are really, really quite cool. And Nekomimi one is one of those more unique ones. It's very fun to look at. But yeah, just going back to this matchup, I mean, you were talking about how Nekomimi did have the win when they came up against each other in the qualifiers, but it's hard to take a lot of those results 100% because we've seen so far Downfall. They lost to a lot of the pretty much all of the qualifying teams that we have, but now we've seen them. They even took a 2-0 earlier in the week against Aztec and really pushed Rich Gang in that series just before. So the difference between going from the best of one format from those qualifiers into the best of 3 really does shake things up a little bit.
It just changes the dynamics so much. So it looks like we will be getting into the first game now against these two teams. We are coming on to Infernal Shrines. Gio, this is a little bit of an ANZ favorite here. We just I don't know what it is about this map in particular, but it's definitely falls in. It's got a special place in my heart. What about you?
Yeah, it's one of those maps where it's just really well-rounded, especially when it comes to the competitive side of things. There's a little bit for everyone, to be quite honest. And there's, if you want to go for those brawl style compositions, if you want to go for the pick styles, pretty much a lot of different things work, and it allows a lot of creativity in the draft and also in the way the game is played. If you want to focus very heavily on the objective, that is a way that you can play, but you also need to be careful of those teams that do quite the opposite, where you just ignore the first couple of punishes and just blast down a lot of these structures, get your advantages that way, and then roll through from there. So there's a lot of different ways you can play this. And I'm very interested to see where both of these teams are at.
That's it. We see it's two quick bans straight away. Blaze has been removed off the board from Quick Match Warriors. And Nekomimi, they're hovering, Mayev. They haven't locked it in yet, but we're pretty sure that they'll lock that one in. Outside that, their opening picks, we can see meta play out here. They can go the Hanzo, they can go the Genji. It's just all there. Malfurion has such an impact on this map as well that we might see an early pickup on him as well. Obviously, entangling routes around the objective, the choke points on the objectives, just gives him such massive amounts of counterplay against anyone.
Oh yeah. And it is on the board, so there could be a potential pickup right at the start. It is going to be the Maiev that's going to be banned away. We saw it in the last game being picked up by Downfall. It didn't end up winning in the end, but we saw the power that hero has. And interestingly enough, this first pick we didn't see at all in any 3 of the drafts from that previous series. The Tyrael picked up right off the bat for the side of the QM Warriors. So really want to get that warrior very early, very, very strong priority on that hero. Has a lot of strength, can help out a lot of compositions, and just has a lot of all-round strength.
Yeah, and talking about all-round strength, it fits into so many different holes, different categories on a team as well. And whenever we see a map that has these choke points like this, but there's also an objective to fight on, you can bet that a Tyrael is always in everyone's minds, can go in there, drop the sanctification, can wholly ground an area at level 16 to prevent enemies from escaping out of the zone. So there's lots of nice play behind that. ETC and Malfurion, a pretty common pick. I think they've had 100% representation tonight, Gio.
Yeah, I think the only time that Malfurion wasn't picked was because he was banned. And it's just because, as I was saying earlier, he's just so very strong right now with the changes that he had with how his regrowth works. It's allowing him to be much more proactive in the way he's played, and also facilitates more styles of heroes. Before, you had to have your allies kind of near you, and you couldn't really step too far out of line to be able to heal them, or else you'd be putting yourself at a massive risk. Now you can, say, put a regrowth on a Tracer, put it on a Genji, and then just start moonfiring your opponents, and all of a sudden they're being healed from halfway across the map and still being useful. So he does so much while still bringing a lot of the utility that he did before.
Beautiful. Malfurion and Greymane picked up on the side now of Quick Match Warriors. Now we've got a really good synergy here. Malfurion's a great solo laner, and Genji's got great lane clearing potential, and also doing camps as well. So sometimes we see on this map, you've got, during the tribute, you could sit heroes in two of the lanes, soak the experience, give up maybe the first one, and just really put huge amounts of pressure. If a global hero is connected with that, or put up with that, Malfurion in the most closest lane, global in another one, and just massive amounts of soak early on, get that strong level lead, and go on from there. Greymane also, has a lot of synergy with Tyrael. Tyrael can dive up behind the Greymane and drop a Sanctification. I always like saying it, but it will never happen in our region, of course. Tyrael take Judgment and a Greymane, and Tyrael could dive on someone together. I like that, but it's not something we'll see.
It is technically a synergy where you have two people going in on the one target. It can work, but it's a little bit more consistent to have that Sanctification, giving essentially the landing pad for that Greymane to go flying through, doing so much work. And we saw it in the previous game. Greymane just demolishing those back lines, those squishy targets, getting so much damage done. And he's quite hard to deal with if he starts really getting into that backline. He can be a little bit hard to disengage from. And if you had that Tyrael helping him out, giving him those extra shields, giving him that extra speed with those smites, he can really wreck apart a backline.
Yeah, really destroy it. Now, I'm interested to see here that there's still an opportunity here to take global heroes, but I've got a feeling we're not going to see that. With
on the
Alex
side of QM Warriors.
Yeah, on the side of QM definitely, because they still have to, I feel, pick up another tank and a
main
support.
Tank and a. Well, the Tyrael can sometimes function as a main tank. Yeah, he is more on the squishy side, more similar to a Nubarak. They can get punished by being a solo tank, but it can happen. But it wouldn't be surprised to see another warrior come out. But then again, if you do go for that, your damage might be a little bit limited to the melee style. And if you are going to be going melee, that is a very hard composition to go up against. The Jaina and the Arthur's picked up, they can really punish heroes that dive in with a lot of the slows, the anti-dive mechanics that they have in their kits. Can be very hard for a Greymane to really push through.
Yeah, then that's the option there. You look at Greymane, you can counter him sort of in three ways. The most effective one is to stun him out. Then followed by slowing him so he can't sort of stay onto his target or really connect. And then the last one is, just blow him up.
Yeah.
That's your kind of like three situations there. And Jaina kind of offers a duo composition there with the slowing down and massive damage. And you can see here, the play. Greymane's going to try and come in against the Jaina. You've got the ETC or Arthas to lock him down in place initially. And then Jaina can really pressure him, push him back with a slow, push him away, I should say, with a slow and follow-up damage. Jaina's actually a character we're seeing a lot more here on Infernal Shrines as well, because because of the value you get on the objective too.
Yeah, she does bring a lot of wave clear. Probably seeing it more because the Gordon was banned away, and the Jaina's probably just a little bit of a backup, wanting to fulfill a similar role, but doesn't have the same level of control. Sure, you have all those slows, but I feel as though not having that Horrify to help just disengage a lot of those diving threats is going to be probably what they're going to be missing out on the most from those two picks. But the Jaina is still going to be very good at dealing with those diving threats. But the Tigers and the Stukov, so we saw the Stukov all 3 games in the previous series. Strikers Love doing a lot of work on that hero. And you were talking about Malfurion and how his entangling roots has a lot of value around the shrines because of these closed off areas. Stukov is very much in a similar regard. With those lurking arms, can just close off passages and make it really hard for your opponents to really get any kind of room.
I'm trying to figure out what this last pick's going to be here. You know, I keep defining back into my head to like pick up a last pick Hanzo. Yeah, right at the end,
you could go towards any kind of supplementary damage. Really, it's actually going to be the Cassia, which actually makes a lot of sense looking at what
the up against the Grey main.
Yeah,
the Malfurion to that extent as well.
You've got a lot of auto attacks. You've got a lot of melee who want to be utilizing their auto attacks to do the majority of their damage, and the Cassia can deal with that quite well with the amount of blinds that she has, and can also pump out a considerable amount of damage and could also mitigate a fair bit considering her passive where she gets armor while she's moving. She can be quite effective against a lot of these heroes that the side of QM Warriors have. And it's going to be interesting to see how QM Warriors try and play around that.
Yeah, when you compare both compositions, Quick Match Warriors, the one thing that really stands out to me is that they're missing a lot of hard CC. They still have Stukov, who's obviously going to be able to drop his lurking arm. That in itself is soft CC. It silences the target, but they can still move. They can still escape. There's no hard CC. When we look at the other team, we look at Nekomimi. It's
there's just a little bit there. You've got an ETC and all of the crowd control that he brings. You've got a Malfurion with the roots and potentially a Twilight Dream, and also the Arthas with the amount of just pure control that he has. So when you're looking at just the amount of crowd control, like side by side, it is very much in favor of Nekomimi. But you can't always just base a game or basic predictions on who has the most crowd control, because there are a lot of other factors that can go into it. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this one plays out.
That's it. How will this map play out? It is game 1 for Nekomimi versus a Quick Match Warriors on the side of Nekomimi, looking lovely. I add, it's Cassia being played by Touch Me. Jaina is being played by Stump God. Malfurion by Hashtag. ETC is a Christo. Arthas is ADS.
And on the red side, we have the QM Warriors. We have Tommy on the Grey main. Leica is on Tyrael. Madhax is on Tychus. Sorelia is on Malthael. And Ivalu is on the Stukov.
All right, so the opening phase here, we see Malfurion going straight to the top lane, getting an early clear on that. Mid lane living up there. Jaina should be enough to help out on the side of Nekomimi. Arthas rotating up now to deal with the Malfurion. And now we're just sort of waiting here. This is one of the hard parts I find about Infernal Shrines. It really is just a clear lane soak experience game. And we see that Nekomimi have won that in that element. Looking to capture the rotation here. Leica has no idea what's going. Big ETC power slide. I Love You is in a lot of trouble as he gets taken out. Stukov dies early on. Leica's still in there trying to put a little bit of damage onto Hashtag, but not going to get any secured kills there. It's more just to make himself feel better.
Yeah, that's a great start coming out for Nekomimi, just really punishing the dangerous rotation coming out of the QM Warriors, not really expecting that you'd have all of those members from Nekomimi just waiting in that brush right there. Nice start for them, and this does give them a little bit of an opportunity to take some of these neutral camps, as we have Touch Me on the bottom side. Trying to take this camp on his own is having a little bit of a trouble doing it. He's not like a Grey main who can just blast away at him, and actually we do have an invade coming out of Leica onto the other side.
It's a nice little invade, but I don't think it's going to result to much. It was just by himself. Cassia in the bottom will be able to take that camp, but she will have to back behind it. So Touch Me is going to be out of the fight just for a little bit, unless he wells. It is a decision you have to make here. But, that shows you... Oh, actually... Checking out the camp, seeing what's going. Nope, nothing happening there. Do we want to do it? Is the thought pattern now coming out of Nekomimi. But getting back there, Leica just pressuring ETC. Again, it's more of a feel-good situation than actually going to achieve anything at the moment.
Yeah, just now it's just about getting into the best position possible for when the first shrine is going to be coming up. It's a great start for Nekomimi. They do have a lot of control in the way a lot of these rotations are going, but Leica, realizing that they could be going for the repeat play, throws in the queue and just reveals all of those members not going to get caught out a second time.
Interesting talent pickup here by Malfurion, actually, taking the Vengeful Root at level 4, looking to increase the damage output when he does drop in Entangling Roots on the enemy.
Yeah, and actually on the top side, Surly is going to get caught out. The massive rotation coming out from the members of Nekomimi is this. He's trying to get out of there, but he's just not able to, as we do actually have a pause, as it seems as though Tommy is having some disconnection issues. So we should be able to get back into the game shortly without too much of an issue.
We'll just wait there. Even with the pause, Sarah Lee is in. It's not in a good position. There's no way they're going to be able to escape there.
To be honest, I was wondering if the pause was going to be Sarah Lee related, but thankfully it's not. That's just an unfortunate timing that it is just going to end up being him more than likely getting cleaned up. It was a great, I guess we could call it a bait from ADS, although that is a rather harsh matchup for the Arthas going 1v1 into the Malthael, who does have a lot of control in those solo lanes, but a great rotation coming out is really going to mitigate a lot of that pressure.
Yeah, and you really have to wonder that, we'll set a thought pattern like, oh, I've nearly killed the Arthas. It's going to be really good. Sarah Lee's like, I wonder why Arthas is letting me do this.
Yeah, it is always...
the mind game.
Is there all of a sudden 3 friends coming up at a moment's notice to make my day a living hell? And we see right there, he is going to go down as we get the pause back in. And ADS does survive with a slither of health. And this is a perfect time for them as the first shrine is just now active. And this is going to give them a lot of extra time over this objective.
Yeah, it's a huge value being able to come onto this knowing that one of the enemy team is down. It's early game, so we're not going to see like Malfield be out for a lot of the fight, but it's going to be enough to really secure a lot of an early lead for the side of Nekomimi. But just positioning now, they're all on the eject right now. No one is split soaking. All the attention is here. Touch Me is being a bit cheeky, sitting there, actually doing a little bit in the mid lane, trying to clear that out. But meanwhile, it is actually a Quick Match that have managed to come back with a little bit of a lead, getting high up on the count here. But look at that. It's actually Stukov gets taken out, rooted in place. So lovely there. That's what we like to see. ETC backing out on low health right now. Sarah Lee again being punished by the Arthur just a little bit. But again, it's just all poking back and forth, deciding it looks like it's still going to go away of Quick Match Warriors though. Starting on that a little bit behind, but still picking it up. That's nice for them. And it just goes to show how much poke damage they can actually throw out with that Greymane and Tychus.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage going through. I was a little bit worried, especially with the amount of control that Nekomimi have at their disposal, that they could have just locked down those members. But sure, they did end up losing the Stukov side of QM Warriors, but they didn't really let that deter them all that much. They had enough tools in the tank to just blast down the rest of those Guardians, pick up that first Punisher, and get a nice little advantage early on in this game.
Ooh, look at it in the top lane, a nice little advantage. Looks like the boys from a Quick Match are looking to go on a nice little adventure, and they want to take Arthas on the ride. Arthas, that's funny. Like I'm seeing he's on the sad face cloud, and it's like, oh, I don't really want to go out into that lane anymore.
Yeah. But
nice
great awareness. Yeah, great awareness from ADS, realizing that no one was on the map. The only one that they could see was the Tigers on the bottom side, and just having an idea that the rest of the team was on the top side of the map, just not wanting to overextend, not wanting to give up any pressure. Sure, he does give up those top 2 towers, but that's a small price to pay for being able to stick around at least.
You've got to decide what's more important here. The blue team, obviously, Nekomimi looking to secure the bottom lane. That's going to be the next lane that we see the objective spawn down in as well. So if they can make that harder on the side of Quick Match Warriors to come back onto it when they get pushed off, they're going to win in the long run as they sort of future sight that plan here. Nice rotation going to the mid lane. Mertcamp's also being picked up to put him in more pressure in the mid, which means they can rotate down to the bottom again to continue their pressure on the fortification.
Yeah, so far it's been a lot of proactive play coming out of the side of Nekomimi. They've been controlling a lot of the mercenary camps and forcing the Kieran Warriors to react to a lot of that. A lot of the advantages that the Kieran Warriors were able to get was when they started to play proactive themselves, just moving onto the objective and just start pushing away the members of Nekomimi and then making the plays themselves. So far, whoever has been dictating the pace of the game has been very much in the advantage.
That's it. Yeah, make your opponent respond to you is the best way to play Heroes of the Storm. Again, the Mercs, both Mercs in the bot on the mid, picked up on the side of Nekomimi. As we just wait for the next objective phase to unfold. Oh, Christo's doing a party push again. Tyrael has finally spotted it. We're gonna have a bit of a biff off, and another pause coming out. Actually, this time on the side of hashtag, which is Nekomimi.
Yeah, Christo was just standing there. I'm not sure if he was. I'm not sure if it was Christo who was the one with the problems, but he was just standing there like it was just doing rings around him, just looking at him. Are you okay there, buddy? But it is going to be the pause. Well, not the pause resumed, just the game resumed. We are getting back into it. So no loss of life just yet, but that party bush could have had something big happen, but in the end, it is just going to be a bit of a stalemate for now, as we do have heroics on both sides. And we'll have to wait and see if we do get this massive fight, as this next objective is going to be activating. Oh, actually on the top side.
Heroics on both sides, but there's only a one objective GL, so both of the children will have to fight over it. Who gets control? Nice cleanup here in the top lane. You see?
Yeah, that watermelon elemental was just running it down, just in true ANZ fashion.
Running it down.
That water elemental was just typifying the ANZ experience, just running it down. But that does mean that attempted gank on the top side has given a lot of positional advantage over to the side of the QN Warriors on the bottom side of the map, and they're able to get at least half of the necessary Guardians before Nekomimi even turn up. But here comes the big fight.
Locked down, that's right. Christoph going to try and get in there. We see a nice little silence right now on Mal.
Oh, wow.
As he tries to run away. The death goes on to Castia, however. Tommy putting a lot of pressure on, gets that lovely kill. Tychus claims the kill itself, but it was actually Greymane doing a lot of the work there. Follow up there, Mad Hacks is in the Odin, showing the full might of the Space Marine Corps as they secure the objective again on the side of Quick Match Warriors.
Yeah, brilliantly done from the QM Warriors. They were able to mitigate the amount of damage done to them by all those heroics, and to be honest, if that water elemental from the Jaina wasn't used early on, that would have been another tool that they could have potentially used for that fight, but because they didn't have it, they just didn't have that little bit of extra damage, and the Tyrael was able to get away with the slither of health. Even though he was hit by pretty much everything, he did manage to get out with the help of his team. So a brilliant fight, managing to maintain control of this game, the Kieran Warriors, and they are just going from strength to strength right now as Touch Me trying to get aggressive, but the rest of the team is there to push him away, as that water elemental is going to be a real nuisance to deal with.
That's it, desperately trying to go up Stump God, trying to get something done onto Stukov or Tyrael. Not the greatest targets to try and hit, no one on the team to support either. Behind it's like all the planning, like, what do they say? The plans of mice and men will often go astray. We just see Nekomimi, they're planning this out, they're pushing the bottom lane. It's like, oh, we're going to be ready for the next objective. And then it just falls apart for them. I feel my heartstrings pull for Nekomimi right now.
And again, they're just going back to the tried and true strats of those party bushes, trying to catch out a lot of those rotations. But after that first one, it just hasn't really worked out with the same success. And right now, we're just seeing Nekomimi, they do have control of a lot of the camps on the bottom side of the map, but they're just not able to translate it into much of an advantage. Talents and experience is in favor of the Kieran Warriors, and they're okay to just mitigate a lot of this pressure coming in, as hashtag he takes a long trip away.
We'll see you next time, Malfurion. Oh, and neutral comes out from the bottom there. Each team just sort of backing away. Red team will clean up. And again, look at that. They're just repeating the same strategy. Tyrael could be in a little bit more trouble now, actually. It's been locked down heavily. But they'll get a kill on it.
He's still good.
Oh, the sanctification play is just too strong. They've turned the fight. It's like the party bush was made by Nekomimi, but it was actually Quick Match Warriors that turned up to the party.
Yeah, they're trying to take out this Tyrael, but even though he does get hit with pretty much everything, he's surviving time and time again. The fact that he's able to survive through the Twilight Dream is massive, because once he has access to his abilities again, he can use his Righteousness, get a massive shield. We saw him at the end of it just popping that Sanctification, just really just nullifying any potential kill threat coming out from the side of Nekomimi, and they keep on trying, they bang at the same strategy, the side of Nekomimi, and so far, it's not really working out for them, and they're just falling further and further behind. They're down 2 levels, almost an extra talent tier, with 16 coming up for the side of Kyurem Warriors, and with this Shrine coming up at a pretty decent time for them, it's going to be very hard for Nekomimi to work their way back into this.
Especially right now when all the members of Quick Match were there to really push them away in that lane. If any of them were a bit slow to rotate or tried to overextend a little bit and fight, they would have been taken out, making this objective even better for Quick Match. I'm just loving the way the guys have played this. You know, I think Lycas really stand out here. There was early on, they got caught by that trap, but then every time he's checking every fog of war he goes into with a sword, seeing what's there, yep, it's safe, or no, it's not. And look at that, it's just working out for him. It's the third Punisher, and it looks like it's going to go again in the way of Quick Match Warriors.
Yeah, there's really not a hell of a lot that Nekomimi can do at this point. They just have to give it up, try and mitigate all of the losses that they're going to be inevitably suffering. And we'll just have to wait and see how Kyurem Warriors are going to play this out, because one thing that they can do is hold it at 39, play around the rest of the map, and then once they're ready to start pushing in with that Punisher, they can push it in, but they are just going to go straight for it. They want to get straight in onto the base of Nekomimi, force the defensive plays out of Nekomimi, and really force them onto the back foot, as they've been doing quite often.
I like the play Nekomimi attempted there. You know, you're 100% right. You know, the Quick Match are here. They're here to push on your gate. You've got to rock up to the party, Nekomimi. But they let that Punisher just happen so they could soak extra experience and try and close the gap. The Punisher jumped on the wall. It's putting a lot of damage onto ADS now. A lot of focusing. It's a frozen Punisher, so it's not the worst, but if you get locked down,
it's kind of like the number 2. It does facilitate a lot of plays, but it's not the damage threat that you would get out of the Arcane. But as you can see, those roots can be really obnoxious, and you have to be very wary of them, because if you get locked down, it could potentially start a chain. Although, saying that, the amount of crowd control, as we were saying in the draft, is not all that high on the side of the Kyurem Warriors, so that's not really something that Nekomimi are all that worried about. They're not going to get CC chained to death, as it's a little bit of a dangerous position coming in for Kyurem Warriors, but
out here.
Potentially dangerous. But the rest of Nekomimi were not game enough to push in out on the map, and they let it go over.
Well, I guess, you know, Tyrael's still there. Tyrael's got a Sanctification, so they've kind of got to bait that out before they do those sort of choke point situations. Because Tyrael can just jump over the wall and throw it down. They were going to secure it regardless. I'm looking at Nekomimi right now. I'm thinking, like, well, what's their comeback game here? Is it just fighting someone? Actually, a fight is cool. Looks like it could break out. Is that power slide actually, I think, got affected by the wall just then? Or no, that was just the knockback. Sorry.
One thing that Nekomimi do have is the crowd control. They do have the mosh pit. They do have the frozen tempest, and also the howling blast from the Arthas. They have tools to lock down the members of the Kyurem Warriors. It's just the fact that they're just not able to get the follow-up damage to just finish off one of those targets. And if they're able to get several members into a mosh pit, that is a potential for them to come back with, but it's not the most reliable because of the amount of control. Well, what little control that Kyurem Warriors have, it's quite decent at dealing with a potential mosh pit.
So we're seeing here good vision. So if you've ever wondered, you know, how a team just knows so well where the enemy is positioned on a map, first off, Tyrael's dropping some of the best swords I've ever seen in my life.
Interestingly enough, he's actually taken Sword of Justice at 13, so he can be jumping between. He can activate it twice and jump forward and back. So he is getting a lot of vision that way, and just forcing a little bit of at least a glance in his direction from Nekomimi. It's a bit of an interesting pick coming out for him, but it seems to be working out so far. We'll have to see how the rest of this game goes, as we're going to have a fight over this camp.
Oh,
Potentially.
that's it. Stukov is doing a great job at zoning it out. Enemy team doesn't want to run over that. ADS a little bit overextended. I shouldn't say not very, a little bit overextended. But again, they can't. They're choosing not to contest it. They're 2 levels down, and yeah, you're looking there going like, oh man, the objective's about to spawn. If we lose a hero in this fight, if it doesn't go well for us, yeah, it spells disaster.
Yeah, very patient play coming out from the QM Warriors, which I do respect because, as we were talking about in the draft and throughout this game, in those narrow corridors, in those choke points, a lot of that crowd control can get a lot of their value and or even their damage with the Cassia and also the Jaina. A lot of damage can run through those corridors and can really do a lot of work. So QM is recognizing that, not wanting to get baited into that just for a camp. You don't want to throw a game over a camp. I want to repeat that. You don't want to throw a game over a camp. Hero League, please.
Take my advice. Behind that, Odin has actually been popped by Tychus, doing a lot of damage onto the objective. Really sort of punishing Arthur's, trying to keep him back in the line. We see here a nice little thing by Nekomimi. They're more focusing the objective area as opposed to following up and trying to get kills. But that does opposite. Oh, it's in. Mosh Pit gets down. They take out Stukov. There's no healing on the side of Quick Match Warriors. But is that going to be enough?
Great sanctification.
Was popped. More death on the side of Nekomimi. It's not looking good for him. Now, Fuley is in a bad spot. Sarah Lee is trying to escape desperately with their life. Behind this, Cassia overextended and will die. And then it's Arthas. There's only one person left, and it's Jaina. She's not known for her mobility. Can she run away? Tommy is on the chase, and it will be 5 deaths. 5 deaths on the side of our Quick Match Warriors. That is massive. They've traded Stukov for 5.
I'd take the trade any day of the week, and it was a great start to the fight, but sure, they took out that massive healing threat of the Stukov. He's doing so much work, but there's so much sustainability and durability and just damage mitigation on the team. Regardless of that, we saw the sanctification in a really good spot, allow the Tigers, who was taking a lot of pressure, to get in there and just survive for so much longer than what he should have, and just allowed the rest of the team to just pick off members one by one and just take the fight. And you really can't understate the power that a lot of these shields coming out of the Tyrael are bringing to these fights. Sure, the heal went down, but with all these shields, the extra sustain coming in from Malthael, it's surprisingly hard to push through all of that, even though they don't have their supporter available.
Yeah, it's not there. The sanctification just soaking so much damage as well. And we talked about, CC potential from the side of Nekomimi, but they can just, like once it's done, it's gone for at least, 10 seconds. And we see Jaina fall again to the Odin Tychus. And look, I'm pretty convinced here. I think this is game.
This could very well be it. With that sanctification going down, that's just going to be the final nail in the coffin. They clean up the rest of Nekomimi, and that is it. That is going to be game 1 of this best of 3 series, going over to the QM Warriors.
Oh man, Gio, I am. These games, these are on fire. These are not what I expected.
Yeah.
I am sweating head to toe just watching this unfold. Quick Match Warriors. Going into this game, I was pretty convinced. I'm sorry, Quick Match Warriors. I was pretty convinced that Nekomimi was going to be able to 2-0 this. Are they going to even be able to get on the board? That's the question. Quick Match Warriors playing very well. They're obviously not downtrodden from their earlier match that they did lose up against Outlaws. I believe, unfortunately, it was actually a DQ because they had a member not arrive, unfortunately, on time. But in this second game, they're trying to prove a point here. It's like, you know what? We can win against these guys. It's easy. We're not demotivated. In fact, we're even stronger because we learn from our mistakes. And it's just a good game. Quick Match Warriors, well done. Well done, Gio.
Yeah, it was just a very well played game. They were doing very well in assessing the situation, realizing what it was that Nekomimi were trying to do, and they're just playing around that. We saw at the very start of the game, that first gank that happened on the QM Warriors side of the map. After that, we didn't see a lot of those plays working out time and time again. We saw them attempted, but with that Tyrael being able to scout out with his Q, just throwing his sword into those brushes and revealing all of a sudden 3-4 members of Nekomimi just waiting
Yeah.
for a play to happen because they were mitigating a lot of those plays. A lot of the strength of that Nekomimi composition kind of fell through.
Yeah, they just couldn't get the value of it, and I think this is where we see like Nekomimi have to expand their playbook or have some other cards available, because they kept trying again and again and again. And okay, the first time you know what they say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And the quick match just did not fall again for that trick.
And to be honest, I feel as though even though we are kind of bagging on about it a little bit too much, that it didn't work after a while, but to be honest, that's kind of what that composition needed to do. They needed to get those team fights, use that crowd control, and set up a lot of the damage that they had. It's just the fact that the Kyoto Warriors, they just played around it really well, and that's just how they were able to mitigate a lot of what the Nekomimi composition wanted to do.
That's it. It's going to be interesting to see what they come up into in the second round. Are Nekomimi going to try and force that style of strategy again, that style of play? Or are they going to try and expand a little bit and go, look, maybe we can't capture them out on their rotations? We are still waiting on confirmation of what the next map's going to be. But map dictates so much of this game as well.
Absolutely. We saw over the course of the week, just different map styles just tend to play into each team's different styles so much more, and just very interested to see where we go, if we are going to go to another one of the bigger maps which are more around the macro style, because I feel as though that is where Kyoto Warriors, they do quite well when it comes to the macro style of gameplay, or if it's going to go to one of the smaller maps where it's just bang on fighting for a while, like something like a BOE, where you are more likely just going to be brawling for a while.
Yeah, I think the map is going to play a huge role. I mean, of course, the map will play a huge role. GL, it's Heroes of the Storm. But I think on the side of Nekomimi, the map is they really need a map that's in their favor now. They're on the ropes. It's 1-0 in favor of Quick Match Warriors. If they can't stop this, if they lose. I mean, that it's a best of 3, and we're already one game down.
Yeah, it's a short series. It's not as short as a best of 1 per se, but it is still a reasonably short series. And when games are going rather quick and can go less than 10 minutes or for some maps, it can be very quick, and it's a very quick turnaround as well. So you need to be able to readjust your mindset, not get too discouraged by any potential losses, and get ready to bounce back stronger than ever for the rest of the series. As we saw from Rich Gang earlier today, they were not looking great in that first game, but they bounced back incredibly strong for games 2 and 3 and took the series. So it's something that we need to see out of Nekomimi if they want to have a real fighting chance.
And that's something we will see. Definitely, it looks like the map that we're going to be loading into will be Dragon Shire. Now, this is you could say that this is the Heroes of the Storm. Yeah, this is the Heroes of the Storm, a competitive map. You've got to be able to do it all. You have to be able to split push. You have to be able to team fight. You have to be able to split and control objectives effectively. Know when to grab your mercenary camps. Know if you can throw it away early in the game to apply pressure, or are you going to have to keep it and use it to distract the opponent so you can actually get the objective.